everybody, welcome to the Copycat Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to review Netflix's The Dayshift. Now, The Dayshift stars Jamie Foxx as Bud, and Bud is just your typical, average, everyday pool service man. You know, he goes from house to house and service and, you know, cleans out pools. And no, that is not. That is Bud's cover for being a vampire hunter in Los Angeles. Yes, this is a vampire movie. Now, this movie it takes a lot of elements from a lot of different films. There's a bit of Dusk Till Dawn in this. There's a bit of Blade in this. There's obviously a lot of John Wick inspired action sequences in this. This movie, there's a bit of John Carpenter's vampire in this. This movie takes a lot of elements from a lot of different vampire movies. But the actual premise of it is Bud, aka played by Jamie Foxx, is a vampire hunter. But, you know, he's a vampire hunter he's a down on his luck vampire hunter. Because in this world, hunting vampires isn't just something that, like, some secret society or something. No, hunting vampires is a fucking, as far as I can tell, is an organized, it's a branch, it's almost like a branch of the government, basically, that hunts vampires. It's a job with union reps, and everything that people do. And Jamie Foxx's character, unfortunately, got kicked out of the union, aka the Vampire Hunters organization, because he, you know, disobeyed a lot of protocols and whatnot, and got a lot of, there's a lot of protocols, there's a lot of, red tape that he kept jumping over. And just like a cop or in a cop movie or something like that, he did too much and they took his badge. And that's where he starts the movie off. He's just kind of doing it rogue he's just doing it rogue, killing vampires and selling off their fangs, because that's how you show that you've killed a vampire. And this world is surprisingly, and like when I saw the trailers, I was like, okay, this might be a little silly fun. And it is silly fun. But it's surprisingly a well-detailed world. Like, I mean, they have different types of vampires. They have the actual lore on vampires. Even the vampire killing organization known as Union, even that organization has history to it. There are vampires they mention, like powerful vampires they mention that you don't actually see in the movie. So, like, even they set up even more powerful things in the future. There's a black market or like kind of place. Like the way they made the whole vampire world and like the knowledge of vampire kind of not normalized, but like this is a part of the day-to-day workings. And I've always kind of liked that idea, the concept of. I remember I'm a huge Supernatural fan. The show Supernatural with Jensen Ackles and playing Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, Dean Winchester and Sam Winchester. I'm a huge fan of that show. And I've often thought to myself, like, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was like an actual organization, like a government-funded organization who go around hunting things? And it's like they just have a pension. They got like, they got dental, they got all this medical, they got medical stuff. It's literally a 9-to-5 job that just so happens that you're hunting vampires for a living. And that's the premise of the movie. But unfortunately, Bud accidentally kills the wrong vampire. Particularly, he kills the daughter, a vampire who happens to be the daughter of a very big up-and-coming vampire who is really doing some game-changing stuff with this sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Sunscreen that can protect a vampire in sunlight for up to 30 minutes. So he killed the wrong vampire, and now she's coming after him, but he doesn't know that. So there's two things going on parallel. First of all, Bud has his daughter and his wife who are debating moving away for a better financial situation because they can't pay certain bills. And So Bud is kind of fighting a clock, so they give him till Monday to do it. So that's what the premise of like the first half of it is. But in the background, we're discovering that he's being secretly hunted by this bigwig vampire. And like I said, this world is detailed, even in the way the vampire hunters operate, how all the vampire hunters in this, who are part of the Union, how all of them have these like pretend jobs. Like how Bud's a pretend pool guy, but he has a license. You know, there's a company that like are a pool company, but they're really vampire hunters. And then he runs into some other vampire hunters, which one of them happens to be what's it? Scott Adkins, which you know, if you know Scott Adkins, the Russian from fucking Undisputed. He kicks some ass. Like one of them happened to be them, and they were like photographers, you know, but they weren't real photographers. They're vampire hunters who have a you know. And I think that this world is interesting. It was a fascinating world. Honestly, I didn't expect to enjoy living in that world as much as I did. You know, I'm a huge fan of this kind of stuff, and I didn't expect that. And then obviously, there's Snoop Dogg in this, playing basically the big badass of this vampire hunting world. At least this sect of them in Los Angeles. Like, he's literally known as the Black Cowboy. He's got a cowboy hat on and shit, walking around in boots in this big ass truck. But it's just Snoop Dogg. It's just Snoop. And like, you know, Snoop is great though. Snoop is great because it's just, you know, the back and forth between him and Jamie Foxx. Obviously, you know, Jamie Foxx is great in this. The back and forth between Snoop and Jamie is quite funny. And like, just the respect he gets from everyone, the women, the higher ups. They talk about him like he's a badass. Like, he's a damn god. But we discover that him and Snoop are like best friends or like close friends in the movie, because apparently in the movie they served together. And you obviously get the vibe that most of because they have people who work in the, you know, in the desks and do paperwork and stuff, and then they have field agents. And you obviously get the vibe that all the field agents are, and they don't say it, but you get from Snoop and Jamie Foxx's character, they're former military. It's why you can kind of go, okay, they're former like special forces. So it's like, okay, it makes sense that they'd be able to do this. You know, you get the vibe that most field agents, especially when you meet the brothers later on halfway through the movie, and they have this amazing badass. I'm telling you, this movie is worth watching just for this mid sequence where at a certain point, Jamie Foxx's character runs into the brothers. Well, they are also a part of the Union. They're badass killers too. And they come up with this conclusion like, hey, look. How about this? We both go in there, we kill them, we split the money. And they go in there, they're not thinking this, they're thinking that there's like maybe 1, 2, maybe 5 vampires in this place. Turns out it was a vampire hive, and there was more like 35 of those motherfuckers in that place. And they go on this awesome, badass killing spree of these vampires that is just so fucking awesome. I was like, yo, this, 10-minute sequence is worth the price of admission. It was worth me watching this movie just for that. That was awesome. That was clean. And like I said, the action sequences, obviously one of the John Wick directors is directing this movie. So obviously you kind of get a vibe of what kind of action sequences you're going to get, because you got one of the John Wick directors directing this. You know he knows how to direct action. So you got the John Wick director on this, one of them anyways, one of the John Wick directors on this, which is why you end up getting these very awesome action sequences. Most of the action in this movie is top notch. There's a fun chase sequence. There's some fun back and forth. Dave Franco is in this as, you know, more of a comic relief character, you know, but he does what he needs to do. And like I said, dude, by the end of this movie, I ended up thinking, like, this is a really fun action movie. It's a really fun action movie. Now, it leans more into the action than the horror. Considering that there's vampires, it leans more into the action than the horror. I always thought that Blade 1 and 2 did a pretty good job of finding the balance of having horror aspects, like having the horror really be kind of scary and then having the action be badass. This doesn't do that. It's like 90% action. Like there are some bits that like I don't know, like a child might be scared of, but like it's mostly action, dude. It's mostly action. This is mostly an action movie, and it's a fun ass action movie. I like the world. I had fun with Jamie Foxx. I had fun with Snoop. I had fun with the characters, the dynamic of it all. There's something about characters. There's something, and this is just me, and I love it. There's something about people just talking about something that is insane in a casual way. And just hearing people just casually talk about killing vampires and, oh yeah, vampires this and vampires that. No, there's this bigger vampire up there named El Jefe. We don't know we don't know what the fuck he looks like. Because that's a carrot they dangle out in this movie, is that there is this big motherfucking vampire named El Jefe who the Union organizations I've been trying to kill for years, and this motherfucker is huge. He runs a shit ton of like places, like, because they make a big deal out of the bigger the vampire, the bigger his familiars, and they make it seem like El Jefe got like the president in his pocket or some shit. And they like I said, it's kind of like in the background. They do this thing where there are background stuff, where there's like lore stuff, and I appreciated it. I wouldn't mind a sequel. I would not mind a sequel. I wouldn't. Especially since, you know, Snoop's character's still alive, which they thought he was dead, but I knew Snoop wasn't gonna die. Like, Snoop ain't dying, man. He ain't dying. I don't want to spoil it for you, but something happens, and I'm like, oh, he ain't dead. But, anyways, I enjoyed the hell out of the Dayshift. I had a blast with it. I didn't think I would. I was like, I don't know about this. I ended up watching the whole thing. I'd give the Dayshift. I don't want to be too, because it's not the most well-written movie. The villains aren't that great. They're not that memorable either. The villains aren't that memorable. It's like I said, it leans so heavily into the action that the horror isn't even there. So I'd probably give it a 7.5. It's almost an 8. It's almost an 8 though, but I had fun with this movie. And if you just need a nice fun movie, fun action movie, like this isn't like dumb action, it's just really fun action. So if you need like a fun action movie to check out, go check out Netflix's The Dayshift. Jamie Foxx is in it. He's great in it. I had a great time. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show again. Please don't like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.